What's going on, people? Welcome back to the United Stand. My name is Maud and welcome to this 2 p.m. show on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon. Let me know how you guys are feeling. How are you guys doing? What's going on wherever you are across the world? And we know there's loads of people in this United Stand community that are from different corners of the world. So let me know how you're feeling. Is it morning for you? Is it evening? Or is it 2 p.m. for you? Are you in Manchester? Just like how I am. But let me know how you're feeling because we've got an amazing show coming up today. Loads of different things have come out literally over the last couple hours. But the first thing I'm going to talk about is Zirkzee. There's been more updates on his move to Roma, and I'm going to give you the latest update on what the newest news is for Zirkzee. Where is he going to be going? If he is going to be leaving Manchester United this January, or is it in the summer? We're going to break that down. Also, Harry Maguire. Is he back? Is he coming back very, very soon, back from injury? There's more update on Harry Maguire's injury. We're going to touch a little bit on Bruno. You know, there's been so much has come out about Bruno literally since the last game. I've literally not had an opportunity to even speak about that yet, but we're going to talk about Bruno and the latest quotes that he had on his little interview that he did. But also Kobbie Mainoo, more updates on Kobbie Mainoo as well. We're going to discuss all of that in today's show, so make sure you're staying interactive and leaving in your comments in the chat about all the different things that we talk about, but also your super chats. So let me know what you guys want to talk about in this show as well. If there's any other topics, any opinions that you want to bring up, put them in your super chats and I'm going to bring them into the show and we're going to discuss all of it. So let's get straight into today's show. Zirkzee to Roma. So the newest update around Zirkzee's move is, so the deal with Joshua Zirkzee to Roma could now be progressing. Roma sporting director Ricky Massara has had meetings with Manchester United in London on Friday and Saturday. Talks were also held with Zirkzee's entourage. The Italian club's strategy is now clear. They initially wanted to reach an agreement over personal terms with the 24-year-old and postpone agent commissions until the summer. So, Joshua Zirkzee to Roma is looking more and more like it's going to happen. So, look, I've got a few questions that I want to ask you guys, and let me know in the chat your answers to these questions. My first question is, would you let him go? Would you let Joshua Zirkzee go in January to Roma? Because there's so many different variables to this conversation. First of all, we've got a couple of players who are literally leaving right now, going to AFCON, and they might be there for the next month. So we might need Joshua Zirkzee over this next month of football to fill in for Mbumo, when he goes. Obviously, he's not a wing back, but when Ahmad goes, players are going to have to shift around, and this player might have to play there, etc. So Zirkzee might be needed to be in this team when certain players move around and go off to AFCON, etc. So would you let him go? You know, is he the kind of player that you think, you know what, right now or for the rest of the season, we don't necessarily need him? I mean, I've got some stats here. He's played 9 games. He's been a sub for 6 of those games. He's played a total of 351 minutes, scored 1 goal, obviously got 0 assists. Now, in my opinion, I truly don't feel like Zirkzee has had, I'd say, the most amount of opportunities that he expected to get this season. He has had opportunities. He started a few games recently. The Crystal Palace game, I think he started. The Everton game, I'm pretty sure he started as well. He has had opportunities to start games and have some good minutes. But I think in general, if you were to ask Zirkzee, do you feel like you've played the most amount of minutes that you thought he was going to play, considering how last season ended? I think he would 100% say no. I think he would say, yeah, for what I thought was going to happen this season, that has not happened. And he has been on the bench for the majority of the season. Now, from what we have seen of him, in my opinion, I still feel like there's a player in there that we need to utilise and we can utilise, especially next season when we've got, hopefully anyway, European games, whether it's Champions League or Europa League games. Hopefully we don't get knocked out of the Carabao Cup in literally the first opportunity to play, and obviously FA Cup as well. We're going to need way more players than we have right now. When I say way more, as in way more quality players than we have right now. We can't be literally having to, force young players into the team when they might not be ready, or force players into the team when we don't even think that they're good enough to play for us. We're going to need players that are ready to play and that can take the opportunity. And I feel like Zirkzee is one of those players. Now, I mean, there's loads of people in the chat right now discussing it. I mean, there's a poll going on. Would you let Zirkzee leave to Roma? I've said my opinion. I don't think we should. Just because I feel like there is a good quality player there. And also, that would now mean that we have to go and buy another striker. We're going to have to go and buy somebody else. We've already just spent, 70 million around 70 million on Sesko. He's already had a pretty big injury already. That's taken him out for a few weeks. He is back into the line, back into the team now, but we don't know that's going to be a recurring injury. He might get injured again this season, hopefully not. But we might have to go and get another striker, especially if Zirkzee decides I'm going to go to Roma, which is another player that's on the list of players that we need to get. It feels like every time we try and sort out a position, it works for a little bit, and then we have to come back and sort it out again. Really and truly, we should be trying to sort out our midfield. We should be trying to sort out our wing backs. And then we might have to even go and buy another defender, because we're going to talk a little bit about that later on in the show. So if Zirkzee now leaves as well, then we have to go back and buy another striker. It just feels like it's just a constant cycle of buying players. They're not good enough, or they get injured, or they want to leave, and we don't utilize them. It's just this long cycle of constantly buying players. So I think we should keep him because he's a valuable member of our team. And I feel like even if he is a rotational player, that is still something that we need. We still need players that can come in and out of the team when and where we need them. But look, another question that I have for you is, would you let him go out on a loan and bring him back in summer? Because I feel like that's something that Zirkzee might even want to do. I don't think he's the kind of player that's like, I don't want to play for United. I don't see a future at United. I just think he's in the same boat as someone like Kobbie Mainoo, where he just wants to go and play football. He wants to play more football at a team where he can start, he can play every single game. He's going to get good minutes and he can just develop. We're forgetting, Zirkzee's 24 years old, 23, 24 years old. He hasn't played a crazy amount of football in his career, and he's definitely not at the peak of his career yet. So for me, I look at a player like Zirkzee and I think, he probably just wants to go out and play more. He wants to go and develop. He wants to go and understand football a little bit better, and just work on his talent. So for a player like Zirkzee to go out on loan and come back, at the end of the season, that might be the best option for him as a player in terms of how he wants to develop. But then again, like I said, we probably are going to need him definitely next year if we don't go and sign another striker. But look, like I said before, you guys, let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments, what do you think about Zirkzee going out to Roma potentially for the rest of the season? Is that something that you want to see? Is that something that you want to do? And look, we're going to move on to the next conversation because there's so much more that I want to get into. But the next topic is Harry Maguire potentially returning from injury. So the news is that Harry Maguire, Manchester United are set to welcome Harry Maguire back to training this month. Now look, the date right now is the 17th of December. We've got 3 more games left this month. We've got one game on Sunday, we've got a game on Boxing Day, and we've got a game either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. One of the two, I can't remember which one. The 30th. We've got a game on the 30th of December. So we've got 3 games left in literally the space of 9 days or something like that. From the 21st to the 30th, we've got 3 games. Now, from looking at the last game that we played, we are clearly in a bit of a defensive problem, clearly. I mean, not even the last game, let's be honest, it's a whole season. We've had 1 clean sheet. The only team that has less clean sheets than United this season is Wolves, and that's because they haven't had a clean sheet, and they are arguably the worst Premier League team we've ever seen, respectfully. But they are arguably the worst team we've ever seen in the Premier League. So for that to be the only team that is defensively worse than us means that we clearly have a big defensive problem in the team. Now, with Harry Maguire returning, I do think that will add value and add a lot of quality and experience into our defence, considering, last game we started 2 19-year-olds. I rate Aiden Heaven and Lenny Yoro a lot. I rate them very, very highly, but we can't deny the fact that they are still very, very young players, and they are going to make mistakes that they will learn from. But they have to make the mistake first for them to go and learn from it. Sometimes in football, you don't realise what you have to do in a certain situation until you're put in that situation in an actual in-game experience. So they are going to learn a lot of things on the job. But Harry Maguire has been on the job for a very, very long time, so he has that added experience into his game. The only thing that I will say about Maguire returning is, let's not pretend and act like everything's just going to go away if Maguire returns. Let's not act like everything's just going to go away and we're going to be the best defensive team if De Ligt returns. My opinion is there needs to be a complete restructure of our whole team defensively. It's not just our centre-backs. I really want Maguire to return because we need extra players in the defence, especially with Mazraoui leaving and going to AFCON. We need more players to be available. I mean, Martinez just came back from injury. I mean, if we're going to force him back into the starting 11 and make him play 90 minutes every game, we don't know what that's going to do to his injury. That might be a bit too early. It might rush him into a mistake. And, you know, last thing we want is for him to get injured again. We really don't want that to happen to Martinez. So for Maguire to come back, especially from an injury as well, we can't, like I said before, we don't want to rush these guys back and then just expect everything to change. I don't think everything's going to change just by changing the personnel in defence. I think, like I said before, the whole team, including the midfield, including the attack, needs to be changed in the way how we set up defensively. If you go back and look at some of the goals that we conceded against Bournemouth, I wish I could put like a little screenshot, but I don't have one on me right now. But a lot of the goals didn't necessarily come because of individual mistakes. They came because the way we were set up was just wrong. We were set up poorly, and that comes down to coaching. I watched a video of somebody completely breaking it down. I thought it was an amazing video. And he showed the way how, in fact, Ricky even spoke about it as well. You go and look at Ricky's Instagram. I think he made a video, but I think it was a throw-in that we had that led to a goal. And the positioning of our team was just all wrong. The positioning was terrible. We had about 3 players or 4 players that were above the halfway line, considering I think it was late on into the game. We were 4-3 up, and we needed to really kind of hold control of the game. We needed to take control of the game because Bournemouth were constantly hitting us with wave and wave and wave of attack. We needed to be a bit more structured in our defence, and that's the whole team. But we were taking a throw-in, and we had about 3 or 4 players in front of the ball. I think Kobbie and Bruno both of them were like on our half of the pitch in the sense of they were on the side of the thrower, and there was so much space behind them that meant that all it took was 1 or 2 passes, and they had so much space in the middle of the pitch. That to me is, yes, the players can do better, but that's a coaching thing. These are the kind of things that you're supposed to work on and develop every single day in training. What do we do in this situation? When we have a throw-in on this side of the pitch, where should everyone be positioned? These are things that even I learned I've never played to that level, but when I was playing Sunday League or in school, you learn these things in training. Where are you supposed to stand when we're at this point in the game, or when we want to control the game, or when we're trying to attack? Where does everyone's position have to be? And we were just not set up in the right way. And that's why I say, even if Maguire or De Ligt or whoever it is in the defence, we would still have the same amount of chances conceded against us because we're just not set up defensively well. We're not set up right. And like I said, even if Aiden Heaven has been playing the last, let's say 4 games. Before that, it was De Ligt starting most games. You know, before that, Maguire was starting a lot of games, and we were still conceding goals. You know, so for everyone who thinks that, if Maguire comes back, our defence is going to be sorted and we're not going to concede goals, that's not going to happen. He's a great player. You know, he's going to add some value, but we need to change things in front of him as well. We need to change the way our midfield is set up. We need to change the way our attack is set up when we're defending, or else nothing is going to change. So yeah, that's my opinion on that. Let me know. Let me know if you agree with that or not. But yeah, my opinion is it's great to have Maguire back, but that's not going to change much in my opinion. We still need to completely change the structure of how our whole team is set up defensively. But yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted to say. But look, on top of that as well, I really wanted to talk about Harry Maguire's tenure as a Manchester United player. Because in my opinion, look, I said it literally just then. I think he's a great player. I think Harry Maguire can do a lot for us. In fact, I think Ruben has missed Harry Maguire's last-minute kind of saving headers since he's been injured. Because let's be honest, Maguire could have played yesterday and won the game for us. That's the kind of player that Maguire is. He is the kind of guy to you bring him on in the last 10 minutes, and you know what the plan is. Just put it in the box, and he's gonna get a header. And I feel like right now we don't necessarily have many players that have that. I don't know, that last minute instinct of how to just win a header and get a last minute goal. We don't have many players with that. De Ligt, maybe you can say can do it. Casemiro maybe, but I mean going forward into the future, if Harry Maguire was to leave at the end of the season, what would you rate his time at United? What would you rate Harry Maguire's time at United if he was to leave at the end of the season? Because there is a bit of a conflict. Because let's be honest, there was a very, very, I'm going to say, dark period for Harry Maguire where he was making a lot of mistakes. He was the captain, and he was in the limelight for a lot of the negativity that was going on at Manchester United. And that felt like he could have left at any moment. In fact, there was loads of conversations about him leaving, about him being sold. And it was a very, very, I'd say a difficult time for him and for us as United fans as well because of all the negativity that was surrounding it. However, the last few years, I feel like he's really picked up his name as a Manchester United player. I feel like the last couple of years, now that he hasn't had the captain's armband, he is more of a rotational player. He's not necessarily starting every single game. We have brought in some other defenders that are better than him and have kind of taken on the responsibility of being our main defenders. And also these last minute goals that he seems to always have. I feel like his rating as a Manchester United player has drastically improved over the last couple of years. And I would say, as a Manchester United player, I don't want to use this number just because I feel like everyone's going to put this number in the chat anyway, but he is a 7 out of 10. I feel like 7 or 7.5. No. Yeah, I'm going to say 7 out of 10. 7.5 might be a bit too high. 7 out of 10 will be my rating for Harry Maguire. And that's mainly because of the last minute headers and these last few years where he actually has been pretty decent for us. But let me know in the chat, what would you rate Harry Maguire's time as a Manchester United player? Some people are saying 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 6 out of 10. I think the £80 million, yeah, I completely forgot about that, I'll be honest. The £80 million, the most expensive defender in the Premier League, well, at the time anyway. In fact, I think he still might be the most expensive defender in the Premier League. It definitely, he hasn't lived up to that value. He definitely hasn't lived up to that £80 million. I mean, especially when you look at what other defenders have cost. I think Ruben Diaz was a lot cheaper. Van Dijk was cheaper. Gabriel and Saliba, who are the best defenders arguably in the world right now, are definitely not £80 million. I think, yeah, that price tag was far too much. And I don't know, I'm trying to think back, what was the reason why it was £80 million? Maybe it was the World Cup. I think it was around 2018, the World Cup, where he had a great cameo. Obviously, he was doing well for Leicester, but it's not like Leicester won the league in 2018. But yeah, that definitely does maybe drop it a little bit. But I think in general, 6/7 out of 10 would be a correct rating for Harry Maguire. Yeah, a lot of people are saying, yeah, true, he's been scoring important goals. Someone said he's an £80 million signing. 7 out of 10 is crazy. Is that crazy? Is 7 out of 10 crazy? I don't know. I feel like 7 out of 10, considering what he's done for us recently, is all right. I don't know. Maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But let me know in the chat. What do you think? Is 7 out of 10 crazy? Someone says Maguire's best period was after he lost the captaincy, seemed to free him up. Yeah, I agree. I feel like after he lost the captaincy, it kind of took that pressure, that weight off his back, and he was able to actually, be a better player. But yeah, let me know in the chat what you think, and send in any super chats or any particular comments that you want to bring in, particular to Harry Maguire. But yeah, that's my opinion. I think, yeah, I'd say 6/7 out of 10. But anyway, look, moving on. A couple cross promo here tonight. Oh, it says tonight actually. On Friday, it will be the last Bundesliga game before they go away for their little Christmas break. We don't do that in the Premier League. We just let our players play until they can't play no more until the end of the season. But in the Bundesliga, if you didn't know, they have like a little Christmas break where they go on holiday or spend time with family, etc. So on Friday will be the last Bundesliga live watch along with Mark on That's Football. It'll be live at 7:15 and the game will be at 7:30. Now it's a really interesting game. It's Dortmund are playing Borussia Mönchengladbach. So look, if you love the watch alongs with Mark and you want to see him do another watch along this Friday, the live game, as in like you can see the players play the game. That'll be on Friday at 7:15 on That's Football. Make sure you're tuning in to check that one out. But also on Sunday, big game. I cannot wait for this game because this is going to say a lot. This game is going to prove a lot as to how Manchester United are really doing. I feel like it's been a while since we've played a very, very good team. And, you know, we actually did all right against Arsenal. We were a very good team. When we played Chelsea, we beat Chelsea. They did have 10 men, but that was also another good game. We didn't do great against City, but we did beat Liverpool. But now we've got Aston Villa, who are doing amazingly right now in top form. We're playing Aston Villa on Sunday, and there is loads of content. You guys know we have a full day of content literally going out. So on Sunday, Countdown to Kickoff will be live at 2:30, and Mark's watch along will obviously be 30 minutes from before the game. Throughout the game, you guys love his watch alongs. We already know what's going on with that. And then after the game, there will be a fans forum with everyone's, you know, all of our guys' opinions, me, Beth, Ricky, everyone's opinion is going to be live after the game on the fans forum. So make sure you check in that whole day of content on Sunday. It's going to be crazy. Let me know exactly, what do you think about that game? Do you think we're going to win? Just a quick one. I wasn't supposed to bring this in, but do you think we're going to beat Aston Villa? Because I'm nervous. You guys know, if you watch, you know, Countdown to Kickoff, I'm the one who always goes with a win. But it's going to be difficult. It's away. You know, it's going to be a difficult game. So let's see what happens. Let me know in the chat, though, what do you think is going to happen with that game on Sunday, Man United versus Aston Villa. Going to be very, very interesting. But let's move on. I do want to really talk about this conversation here, Bruno Fernandes. Now, if any of you have been living under a rock, you might not know, Bruno Fernandes did have a little interview, obviously after the Bournemouth game, and he said a lot. He said a lot of stuff came out about his time at United, about his conversations that he had at the end of last season. As we all know, Saudi wanted to buy Bruno for 100 million and pay him like 700k a week, tax-free. And he said no, which is absolutely insane. In my opinion, it's crazy, but, you know, each to their own. But I really want to discuss some of the quotes that came out, especially some of the ones that there's like a second part of the interview that came out recently, and I really want to touch on them. So the first part I want to talk on is, he says that these are Bruno's words, right? He says, "I'd like to experience the Spanish league because I've never played in Spain, and I'd like to play for one of the clubs that fights for big titles in Italy." He says, I really enjoyed living in Italy. I still have many links to the country. My daughter was born there, and she's always saying she wants to speak Italian. If I could give her that and play in a club in Italy with big objective of winning trophies, it's an idea that would interest me. Bruno Fernandes began playing his career in Italy with clubs including Udinese and Sampdoria before moving back to Portugal with Sporting in 2017. Now that is very, very, very interesting, because if I'm being honest, all the quotes that come out from Bruno pretty much just say to me, he's going next season. Bruno Fernandes, I highly, highly doubt will be a Manchester United player next season. Based off these quotes, based on the other quotes that he's obviously brought out. I mean, look, he said before as well that he feels like the club didn't want him to stay next year. Or this year, actually. When the whole conversation around Saudi was coming out, and Saudi was saying they want to bring him in for 100 million, etc. He literally said in the interview that from the conversations that he had with the directors, etc., he felt that the club didn't want him to stay, or the club didn't mind if he was to leave. And that hurt him a lot. You know, he says in his quotes as well that, I've got the quotes here actually. He said, from the club side, I felt a bit off. I felt a bit of, if you go, it's not really that bad for us, you know, in the club's words. That hurt me a little. More than hurting, it made me sad, because I'm a player that they have nothing to criticize me for. I'm always available. I always play, whether well or badly, and I give my maximum. So clearly, Bruno is very, very, I'd say this season he's been a little bit upset, I'd say, especially considering what the club kind of, the support from the club. I mean, really and truly, look, if you're the captain of Man United, especially a player like Bruno, who, like you said, he's always available. Last season, he carried us in so many games last season. We definitely wouldn't have got to the Europa League final if it wasn't for Bruno Fernandes. 1,000,000%. I think he was the top goal scorer and the top assister in the Europa League. He has the most goals and assists out of every player of all time in the Europa League. A lot of people don't know that. Out of every player of all time, Bruno Fernandes has the most goals and assists, most GA out of every single player that's ever played in the Europa League. Like, he genuinely, I'd say single-handedly was one of the main reasons. Yes, you can put some credit to Harry Maguire and, his goal, and, we've had other players that have played well. But Bruno Fernandes dragged us in a lot of games, especially that hat-trick against Real Sociedad. I don't know if you guys remember when we beat them 4-1 at home. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have got to the final. And even in the league, there were so many times, so many goals, so many assists, so many occasions, so many games where Bruno was our best player. And he, like I said, he was genuinely the reason why we didn't get relegated almost, if we're being honest. And for him to then go and say, look, it hurts him because the club doesn't feel like the club have valued him in what he's done. I personally feel like that's a bit sad. I feel like that's sad because you kind of want these kind of players to leave on a good note if they are going to leave. I don't want our players who have been our top players, our players who have given everything for the club, whether you like him or not as a footballer, you cannot admit that, you cannot not admit that Bruno has given everything for United. You can't say that. Anybody says that is just lying. You've got some kind of personal agenda against him. You can't admit that he hasn't been or hasn't given us everything that he could possibly give. He's been playing at certain times through injuries even, just because he knows that he needs to play, and he's an important member to the team. So for him to eventually leave, let's say at the end of the season, and for it to not be in the greatest light, for him to leave on a negative tone, I feel like that's upsetting, And like I said, whether you think he's a legend or whether you think he's an icon or you think he's been a great player for us or we need him, I don't want him to leave on a negative note. That's my opinion there. I'd rather, if he was to leave, it's on a positive note. He wants to go to another club to go and win trophies, and the club, have a great conversation with him and say to him, look, we want you to stay, but at the end of the day, it's your decision if you want to go. There are bids obviously that are going to come in for him at the end of the season, but it's up to Bruno Fernandes and obviously the manager and whatnot if he stays. I'd rather he was to leave on a positive note because he decides he wants to leave and everyone is in a mutual agreement with it. But right now, it just seems like, it almost feels like they're pushing him out. It almost feels like they're saying to him, we don't really mind, it don't matter what you've done so far for us, we don't care, or that's irrelevant. If you want to go, just leave. Like, we don't really care. And I feel like that to me is a bit insensitive considering what Bruno Fernandes has done. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of how this whole situation has gone out. I understand that, yes, for Bruno to come and talk like that in an interview, it's not the best thing to do, especially considering we're halfway through the season. He's still got the rest of the season to go. This is now going to cause some kind of more conflict with the club, especially internally with him and the manager and the owners. It's not necessarily the greatest situation to be in, but he obviously felt like, this is the right time to speak, and this is how he's feeling at the end of the day. So look, yeah, that's my opinion on that. But let me know your opinion on what Bruno Fernandes has said. Do you feel like it was the right time for him to say it? Do you agree with what he said? And also, if you was in his position, what would you do? Would you leave at the end of the season? Would you try and stay to potentially win a trophy with us? What would you do? Do you feel like it's the right time that he should leave? Let me know in the chat. But yeah, someone said, we don't care how good he is, no one is bigger than the club. I don't think he's trying to say he's bigger than the club though. Like, I don't think that's what he's trying to put out. I think he's more trying to say, like, for what he has done for the club, he just wants a little bit more respect. For a player who's been our captain, he's been arguably our best player the last however many years since he's pretty much been here. For the amount of effort that he's put in, he just wants a little bit more respect from the owners of the club. I don't think he's trying to say I'm bigger than the club, so whatever I say should happen. And I don't think that's what he's really trying to insinuate. But yeah, let me know in the chat what you think about that. And the last thing that I want to touch on is the whole Kobbie Mainoo situation, which, I'll be honest, when it came out after the game, we were on the fans forum. You guys can go and check out that show. I just laughed when the whole free Kobbie Mainoo t-shirt and his brother, obviously wearing it in the game and obviously parading it around. He obviously wanted people to see him. I just laughed because I thought, you know what, that's such a bit of a childish thing to do, but I just thought it was funny at the time. But now when I think about it, he did not need to do that at all, because with Kobbie Mainoo is clearly the kind of person where he doesn't speak about a lot of stuff in the public. He's a silent kind of player where if he doesn't have anything big to talk about, he's not going to talk. I can't even think of a time where I've heard him speak, like, ever. Like in a press conference or online or in an interview that he didn't have to do. You don't necessarily see Kobbie Mainoo talking about stuff. So for his brother to come out and have this t-shirt or whatever, because Kobbie Mainoo's not spoke about it, now it looks like he's actually part of the reason why he did it. It looks like he's advised it, or it looks like he's even told him to do it before the game, or he's all for it. I don't think Kobbie Mainoo necessarily even knew about it. I don't think he's out here chatting to his brother before the game like, yo, it'd be funny like if you wore a free Kobbie Mainoo t-shirt, and he's not doing that. Let's be honest. He's definitely not. He's not got the time to do that. He's got stuff, more important things to think about. And like I said, Kobbie Mainoo throughout this whole situation, he's been very, humble about it, about the situation, considering he obviously knows everyone's opinion. I mean, every time he walks on the pitch, the whole stadium literally screams. The whole stadium starts cheering. The loudest cheer of the game yesterday, aside from the goals probably, was when Kobbie Mainoo came on the pitch. It's clear to see that the whole fan base, or a big majority of the fan base, want to see Kobbie Mainoo play and do well. So he doesn't need to come out and speak on it because he knows exactly what the fan base wants and he knows what he wants as well. But for him to come out and speak about it now turns it into a whole other situation. So for me, I feel like that whole his brother situation coming out with a t-shirt, it was just unnecessary, and it also makes Kobbie Mainoo look way worse than I feel like he even wants to look, especially to the media, because now people are comparing it to Garnacho, which in my opinion is crazy because Garnacho was doing way worse. Garnacho was playing, he actually had opportunities. In fact, I think he was playing more than anybody else, let's be honest. Garnacho's brother was actively online talking about it, tweeting about it, liking comments. Garnacho himself was liking comments and doing interviews, etc. To compare the two doesn't even make sense in my opinion. So I think the whole t-shirt thing, it shouldn't have been done. And I don't think he's going to come out and speak about it because that's just not the kind of player that he is. But yeah, that's my opinion on the whole Kobbie thing. And I think going forward as well, considering one, Casemiro's got a yellow card, two, Bruno's obviously gone away, Ahmad's gone away, we do need more players in the team, especially if Zirkzee does decide to go to Roma as well in January. If we don't see Kobbie Mainoo get more minutes, other than these little 20-minute, I guess, he's averaging 30 minutes a game this season. In fact, this last Bournemouth game, I think was the longest run out he's had since Brighton. And he only played like 30 minutes, I guess. So if we don't see more minutes from Kobbie Mainoo, more time on the pitch, considering all of these things, then in my opinion, just let him go. Let him go to Napoli. Let him go to any other club that he decides to go to. Just let him go and play football. Let him go and express himself. Let him go and have a bit of freedom on the pitch. Let him go and have fun. Like right now, he seems to be so upset by the whole situation. He's a 20-year-old kid. Like he obviously just wants to play football and develop in his career. Let him go away and do what he wants to do. If he can't get any time now, especially at this club and the period that we're at. Considering how well we're playing and the results that we're getting, let him go and play football somewhere else. But yeah, I guess it's up to Amorim. But let me know in the chat, what do you think about that? Do you feel like Kobbie Mainoo is getting the right time on the pitch? Do you feel like he should go out on loan to another team? Do you feel like we should sell him at the end of the season? Let me know all your opinions in the chat and in the comments if you're watching this after the live. But yeah, that's the whole show. It's gone very, very quickly, but thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. And a quick more promo. Tomorrow, I'll be live at 2 p.m. with Ben Jacobs. Ben Jacobs will be speaking about all these conversations. Zirkzee, we're going to get a good update on that. We're going to get a good update on Kobbie Mainoo. I'm sure he's going to give some more updates on Bruno, whether he's going to be leaving next summer, etc. So make sure you're checking out the United Stand tomorrow, 2 p.m. Ben Jacobs. I'll be talking to him and getting the exclusive for you guys. So make sure you're checking it out. But like I said, thank you guys for listening and watching, and I'll see you in the next one.